You're watching Forsaken Joe. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Enjoy the story. Let's begin. Hi everyone, welcome back to Forsaken Joe. What I'm about to share is something I never thought would come out of my mouth, let alone be posted on the internet. But here we are, and trust me, you'll want to hear this because it's insane. It all started with 6 words. Good luck on your date. I didn't mean for it to sound like an accusation. I just said it as a joke when I saw her leaving the house, dressed up like she was meeting the president. But the way Hazel's face froze, the way her smile vanished like someone had flipped a switch, that's when I knew something was wrong. That panic in her eyes said more than any lie she could have rehearsed. She laughed nervously, pretending she didn't hear me, and mumbled something about meeting Mara for dinner. But Mara is the friend who can't even keep a cactus alive, let alone organize a dinner on a Thursday night. It felt like my stomach hit the floor. Still, I did what I always do. I let it go. I'm that guy who never argues, who just lets things slide because I hate conflict. But this time, my gut wouldn't shut up. That night, I sat in the dark, phone in my hand, debating whether to call her or not. Midnight came and went. 1 a.m., nothing. At 2:17 a.m., she finally walked in, her hair messy like she'd been running a marathon, her lipstick smudged. And I swear on everything, she smelled faintly like men's cologne. Not mine. I didn't say a word. Just watched her kick off her heels, glance at me on the couch and whisper, "You're still up?" Like it was my fault I couldn't sleep while my mind was shredding itself to pieces. But here's where it gets weird. The next day, I got a text from an unknown number. It just said, "You deserve to know the truth." The text hit me like a punch to the chest. You deserve to know the truth. That's all it said. No name, no explanation. I stared at the screen for a solid minute, my mind spinning out of control. Was this some prank? Or had someone just confirmed every dark thought that had been creeping through my head since last night? My first instinct was to show it to Hazel, but something in me told me to keep quiet. I wanted to see how deep this rabbit hole went. I replied with just one word. Who? The 3 dots popped up immediately like the sender was waiting for me. The reply came fast. Ask her about Tuesday night. Ask her why she lied. My hands started shaking. Tuesday night? She told me she was staying late at work on Tuesday. I even remember packing her a dinner and feeling stupidly proud of myself, like a doting husband. Hazel walked into the kitchen just then, pouring herself coffee like nothing in the world was wrong. I tried to act normal, but my voice cracked when I said, "Hey, what were you doing Tuesday night?" Her head whipped around so fast, you'd think I'd slapped her. She blinked, forced a smile, and said, "Work meeting, remember?" She said it too fast, like she'd rehearsed it. I nodded, playing along, but inside I felt my stomach twist tighter. The rest of that day, I couldn't focus on anything. I kept checking my phone, waiting for another text. By noon, it came. Checked the blue folder in her car trunk. My blood ran cold. I didn't even know what to think. Why would someone know what's in my wife's trunk? Who was this person? That evening, while Hazel was in the shower, I grabbed her car keys and slipped outside. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I'd pass out. I popped the trunk, half expecting to find, I don't even know what. At first, I saw nothing. Just a gym bag, a pair of sneakers, and some random junk. But then I noticed a small, worn blue folder tucked under the mat. When I opened it, my breath caught. Inside were printed reservations, dinners, hotels, none of them with my name. One receipt had a handwritten note on it. "See you again, H. Hart." My hands started trembling so badly I almost dropped it. I shoved everything back, closed the trunk, and stumbled inside like a zombie. She came out of the shower smiling, asking if I wanted to watch a movie. I couldn't even look her in the eye. All I could think was, who the hell is H? And why does it feel like I don't know my own wife anymore? I didn't sleep that night. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening to Hazel's steady breathing next to me, and every minute that passed just made my chest feel tighter. That damn blue folder was all I could think about. The receipts, the notes, and especially that stupid little heart after the letter H. I wanted to shake her awake, wave the folder in her face, and demand answers, but I didn't. Maybe because I was scared of what she'd say. Maybe because I already knew the answer and just didn't want to hear it out loud. The next morning, I made coffee and tried to act like nothing was wrong, but I was terrible at it. My hands were shaking so badly that I spilled half the sugar on the counter. Hazel glanced at me over her mug and asked if I was okay. I forced a smile, but my throat felt like it was closing. Yeah, I lied. Didn't sleep much. She nodded and went back to scrolling her phone like I was just some background noise. That stung more than I expected. Later, when she left for work, I sat at the kitchen table staring at my phone, wondering if that anonymous texter would reach out again. Almost like they could read my mind, the message came at 10:14 a.m. H is real. If you want proof, follow her tonight. I felt sick. I actually felt my stomach turn. Whoever this person was, they were feeding me poison, but I couldn't stop drinking it. I typed back, "Who are you?" No response. I tried again. "Why are you doing this?" Silence. It felt like I was losing control of my own life, and some stranger was driving the car. By the time Hazel got home that evening, I'd already made up my mind. I wasn't going to ask. I wasn't going to beg for answers. I was going to see for myself. I told her I was tired, that I'd stay home while she went to her late meeting. She kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong, but the second she walked out the door, I grabbed my jacket and followed. I stayed a couple of cars behind, my palms sweating on the steering wheel, my heart thudding in my ears. She drove across town, far from her office, to a dimly lit restaurant I'd never seen before. I parked across the street and watched as she stepped out, checking her reflection in the car window. And then I saw him. A tall guy, maybe late 30s, wearing a black jacket. He hugged her like they'd done it 1,000 times. She smiled at him. That smile, the one I thought was just mine. And it felt like the world collapsed under me. I didn't go inside. I didn't want to cause a scene. I just sat there gripping the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, watching them laugh and touch each other like I never existed. After 20 minutes, I couldn't take it anymore. I started the car and drove home, but halfway there, I pulled over and just broke. I sat there in the dark, sobbing like some pathetic kid, because what else do you do when your entire marriage suddenly feels like a lie? When Hazel came home later, I pretended to be asleep again. She kissed me on the forehead, and I almost lost it. How can someone do that? Lie to your face, smile, kiss you, and still act like nothing's wrong. But here's the thing. I'm not going to confront her. Not yet. Because I need to know everything. I need to know who this guy is, how long it's been going on, and why she thinks she can get away with it. And maybe, just maybe, I'll find out who's been texting me. Tomorrow, I'm following her again. And this time, I'm going to get answers. The next day felt like I was living inside someone else's body. I went through the motions, coffee, quick shower, a half-hearted breakfast, while Hazel hummed in the kitchen like she didn't just shatter me into pieces the night before. I wanted to grab her and yell, "Who is he? Who the hell are you when you're not with me?" But instead, I sat there like a coward, nodding at her small talk, pretending I didn't see what I saw. My plan was simple. Stay quiet, gather proof, and only confront her when I had the whole picture. I wasn't going to be the clueless husband who accuses and gets played. Not this time. That evening, when she said she had another late meeting, I forced a smile and said, "Good luck," like I always did. The second the door shut, I was already in my car. But instead of tailing her straight to her rendezvous, I decided to check her office first, just to be sure. I parked across the street, waiting, watching. Her car wasn't there. I even walked around the block, pretending to be on my phone. Nothing. It was clear she hadn't been working late for a while. Something in me snapped. I drove to the restaurant from last night, and sure enough, her car was there, parked like a little monument to betrayal. I didn't want to just watch again. I needed something concrete. I grabbed my phone, went inside, and tried to look casual, like I was just picking up takeout. The hostess smiled and asked if I had a reservation. My eyes scanned the tables, and then I saw them. Hazel and Mr. Black Jacket tucked in the corner, laughing like this was some romantic comedy. Her hand was resting on his arm, and I swear I felt my insides twist into knots. I snapped a quick photo from the entrance, my hands trembling so much I thought I might drop the phone, and left before I completely lost it. I sat in my car with my head against the steering wheel, breathing like I'd just run 10 miles. I had proof now, but it didn't feel like victory. It felt like death by 1,000 cuts. I kept thinking, what if I'd never seen that text? Would she just keep smiling at me, kissing me goodnight, while meeting him behind my back? When Hazel came home later, I noticed something new. She was humming again, but softer this time, almost guilty. I asked how her night went, and she mumbled something about exhausting meetings and needing a shower. As she walked past, I could see a faint red mark on her neck, like someone's lips had been there recently. My chest burned, but I said nothing. That night, I couldn't stay still. While she slept, I quietly grabbed her purse and searched it like a thief. I found her wallet, some receipts, and then something I wasn't prepared for, a hotel keycard, room 214, no date, no name. Just a piece of plastic that felt heavier than a brick. And then, like clockwork, my phone buzzed. The unknown number again. Room 214, tomorrow night. If you want the truth, be there. I sat there in the dark, staring at the message while my wife slept soundly beside me. The thought of showing up at that hotel made my blood run cold, but a voice inside me whispered, "You've come this far. Do you really want to live in the dark anymore?" By the time the next evening rolled around, I felt like I'd aged 10 years. I barely spoke to Hazel all day, which she didn't seem to notice because she was too busy on her phone, giggling at messages I couldn't see. I watched her from the corner of my eye, memorizing every little lie in her body language, the way she hid the screen when I walked past, how her thumb moved faster when she thought I wasn't looking. She had no idea that I'd already made my decision. Tonight, I was going to that hotel. Tonight, I would finally see what she was hiding. When she left the house, dressed in that red blouse I'd bought her last Christmas, she looked stunning. It made me sick to realize she wasn't wearing it for me. I waited 15 minutes, then grabbed my keys and left. The drive to the hotel felt endless, my brain replaying every moment of our marriage, every time I'd trusted her completely, every time I'd believed her lies without question. I kept thinking, what am I going to find? Do I really want to see it? The hotel was one of those upscale business places, clean, quiet, with polite staff who don't ask too many questions. My hands were sweating so much that I almost dropped my phone when I walked through the doors. I didn't know if I should just barge into room 214 like some action movie cliche, or wait outside like a coward. The thought of seeing her with him, seeing them together, made my stomach twist. But the thought of turning back now was worse. I needed this. I needed to know, even if it destroyed me. I took the elevator, each floor dinging like a countdown to something I couldn't stop. My heart was pounding so loudly I swore people could hear it. When I reached the second floor, I stood in front of 214 for what felt like an eternity. I could hear faint voices inside, laughter, Hazel's laugh, and a deeper male voice. My hands were shaking as I slid the keycard into the slot. The door clicked. I pushed it open, bracing myself for the sight that would burn into my memory forever. But what I saw wasn't what I expected. Hazel was there, sitting on the edge of the bed, but she wasn't with Mr. Blackjacket. She was alone, holding her phone, with tears streaking down her face. She looked up at me, startled, like a child caught doing something terrible. "Finn," she whispered, her voice trembling. "What are you doing here?" I froze, my mind blank. I had prepared myself for betrayal, for rage, for some other man standing there smirking. But this was something else. My eyes darted around the room, expecting to see someone hiding in the bathroom or slipping out the window. Nothing. Just Hazel, her makeup smudged, her hands trembling. "Who are you with?" I demanded, my voice sounding more desperate than angry. She shook her head, clutching the phone like it was her lifeline. "You don't understand," she said softly, and for a moment I almost believed her. Almost. Then my phone buzzed in my pocket. I pulled it out, and my blood went cold. Another text from the unknown number. "She's lying. Check her phone." I looked at Hazel. She saw the message over my shoulder, and her face turned white. That was all the confirmation I needed. I lunged for her phone, and she panicked, holding it close like I was trying to take oxygen from her lungs. We struggled for a moment before I finally yanked it from her hand. The screen was unlocked. Messages flooded the screen, but not from one guy. There were dozens of texts from multiple men. Each conversation was intimate, flirty, filled with things I couldn't even bring myself to read fully. My hands trembled as I scrolled, my chest tightening with every word. Hazel sobbed quietly, whispering, "Finn, I can explain. Please, let me explain." But I wasn't sure I wanted to hear her explanation, because deep down, I felt like this was only the beginning, and whoever was texting me knew a hell of a lot more than I did. I stood there with Hazel's phone in my hand, scrolling through an avalanche of messages I couldn't even fully process. They weren't just random flirty texts. Some of them looked like ongoing conversations with different men. Private jokes, plans for drinks, even a few photos that made my stomach twist in disgust. It wasn't just one mistake. It wasn't one guy. It was an entire secret life I hadn't known about, and I felt like I'd been married to a ghost all these years. Hazel was crying, her voice breaking as she tried to explain. Finn, please. It's not what it looks like. I swear to you, I can explain. But what kind of explanation could fix this? What could possibly make this normal? I dropped her phone on the bed like it was on fire. Who are these guys, Hazel? How long has this been going on? She shook her head violently, tears flying from her lashes, and kept repeating, "You don't get it, you don't get it," as if I was the one losing my mind. And maybe I was, because right then, my phone buzzed again with another text from that anonymous number. "She'll never tell you the truth. Meet me in the parking lot if you want answers." I froze. Whoever this was, they were close. Close enough to know I was here, right now. I looked at Hazel, who had gone pale as she saw me read the message. She whispered, "Don't go out there." "Please, Finn, just don't." Her voice had this trembling edge, like she knew exactly who it was and was terrified of them. That only made me more determined. "Who is it?" I demanded. She didn't answer. She just stared at me like I'd just walked into a trap I didn't understand. I left the room before she could say another word. The hallway felt suffocating, every step down to the parking lot echoing in my ears. My hands were sweaty, my heart pounding like I was about to face something I couldn't fight. I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting someone to jump out at me. When I stepped outside, the cool night air hit me like a slap, but I saw no one. The lot was mostly empty, except for a silver SUV parked under a flickering light. Then I saw a figure leaning against the SUV, smoking a cigarette. It was a man, tall and thin, maybe mid-40s. He waved me over like we were old friends. My legs felt like concrete, but I walked toward him anyway. "You're Finn, right?" he asked, flicking the cigarette to the ground. His voice was calm, almost too calm. "Yeah," I said, trying not to let my voice shake. "Who the hell are you? Why are you texting me about my wife?" He smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. "Because I know things you don't, things Hazel's been hiding from you. You think she's just cheating on you? You have no idea what's really going on." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What are you talking about?" I asked, my voice rising. He reached into his jacket pocket, and for a split second, I thought he was going to pull a weapon. But instead, he handed me a small USB drive. "Everything you need to know is on this. Watch it, but not around her. And when you do, you'll understand why I'm helping you." I just stood there, staring at the drive like it was some kind of bomb. "Why are you doing this? Who are you to her?" I asked, but he just smirked. "Let's just say I've been where you are now. Don't trust her, Finn. Not for a second." And with that, he got in his SUV and drove off, leaving me standing there in the dark with more questions than ever. When I went back to the room, Hazel was sitting on the edge of the bed, her eyes red and swollen. "Who was that?" she asked, her voice trembling. I held up the USB drive. "Why don't you tell me?" Her face drained of color, and that's when I knew. This was bigger than an affair. Something was very, very wrong. I didn't say another word to Hazel as I left the hotel room. I couldn't. Her face, pale and stricken when she saw that USB in my hand, told me everything I needed to know. She was terrified of what was on it. I drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turned white, my mind running in endless circles. What could be on this drive? Something about her other relationships? Some evidence of a double life? Or something even darker? By the time I got home, I felt like I was walking into my own personal hell. I locked the door behind me and plugged the USB into my laptop, half expecting it to be some kind of trick, some virus or scam. But when the files popped up, my heart nearly stopped. There were videos, dozens of them, all time-stamped over the past year. I clicked on the first one, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Hazel, in our own living room, talking on the phone. She wasn't just chatting, she was laughing, whispering things that sounded like deals. She mentioned meeting someone at a storage unit, exchanging packages. This wasn't flirting. This was something else entirely. Something illegal. I clicked another video, and this one hit me even harder. Hazel wasn't alone. She was sitting at a restaurant with two men I'd never seen before, both looking like the kind of guys who should be in mugshots. She passed them an envelope. They passed her a small black case. She smiled like this was all perfectly normal. My stomach twisted as I watched because the Hazel I knew, the Hazel who loved cheesy reality TV and cried at sad commercials, wasn't there. This was someone else, someone colder. By the third video, I had to pause and catch my breath. It was from a motel parking lot. Hazel was hugging a man in a black jacket. Not romantically. This wasn't about cheating, not exactly. It looked like a deal going down, something that screamed danger. My chest felt like it was collapsing under its own weight. What the hell had I stumbled into? This wasn't just about our marriage anymore. I was starting to think Hazel was involved in something criminal, something that could drag me down with her if I wasn't careful. The final file on the USB wasn't a video. It was a text document, a list of names, dates, and amounts of money. And right there, halfway down the page, was my name. Next to it, a number, $10,000. My breath caught in my throat. What did this mean? Why was my name on this list? And why did it feel like I'd just stepped into the middle of something I didn't understand at all? I sat there in the dark for over an hour, staring at the screen, my hands trembling. Every sound in the house made me jump. I didn't even realize Hazel was calling me until my phone buzzed for the 5th time. I didn't answer. I couldn't face her yet, not after seeing all this. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the living room with the laptop open, replaying those videos in my head. The woman in those clips wasn't my wife, not the one I thought I married. She was someone else entirely, and I was starting to think I had no idea who I'd been sharing a life with for the past 7 years. When the sun came up, I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her directly, not yet. I needed to dig deeper, figure out how far this went, and maybe even find out who that man with the SUV really was. I had a feeling that USB was just the tip of the iceberg, and whatever was underneath could destroy me if I wasn't careful. The next day I felt like a ghost moving through my own life. Hazel acted like nothing was wrong, humming in the kitchen, smiling at me like we were just another ordinary couple. But I wasn't buying it. I had that USB, those videos, and a growing storm of questions in my head. I knew I couldn't keep quiet anymore. That night, when she came home, I sat her down at the kitchen table. No yelling, no accusations, just silence. I placed the USB in front of her and waited. The color drained from her face. "Where did you get that?" she whispered. I could see the fear in her eyes. "From someone who wants me to know the truth," I said. "So, Hazel, start talking. Who are these people? What's going on?" For a long moment, she just stared at me like she was deciding whether to lie or finally tell the truth. Then she broke down. She told me everything about her brother, who had gotten mixed up with some dangerous people, about how she'd been helping pay off his debts in secret to keep him safe. The packages in the videos weren't drugs or anything criminal. They were payments, arrangements to keep him out of trouble. She hadn't told me because she was afraid I'd leave if I knew she'd been hiding something this big. I didn't know whether to feel relieved or angry. Yes, she'd lied to me. She'd kept a huge secret, but at least it wasn't about cheating or betrayal of love. It was about her trying, clumsily, secretly, to protect someone she cared about. It wasn't easy to forgive, but in that moment, looking at her sobbing in front of me, I realized I still loved her. I always had. We spent hours that night talking, really talking, for the first time in years. She promised no more secrets. I promised to stop pretending I was okay when I wasn't. It wasn't a perfect ending, but it was ours. And when I deleted those videos from my laptop, it felt like erasing a nightmare I didn't want to relive. Now I sit here, telling you all this, realizing that sometimes the scariest part of love isn't betrayal. It's not knowing the whole story. But I guess that's what trust is, right? Choosing to stay, even when things get ugly, and finding a way back together. So, what about you guys? Have you ever discovered a shocking secret about someone you loved that turned out to be something completely different than what you expected? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to subscribe. You're on Forsaken Joe, where the truth is always stranger than fiction.